it's extraordinary to me that Mandelson ever ended up in that position. And when people try and say that Candace Owens is in some way a conspiracy theorist or mad for suggesting that a network of paedophiles is running the world, then how on earth do you explain Mandelson's elevation to one of the most important positions for United Kingdom in the world? Breaking today, Slippery Starmer, the United Kingdom's corrupt and embattled Prime Minister, must surely now go after the decision, far too late, to sack Peter Mandelson as the ambassador to the United States, a man who he personally appointed after it emerged that he was not just a best friend, but a career advisor to Jeffrey Epstein, America's most infamous paedophile, even after his conviction for soliciting a young girl. Now, of course, it's extraordinary to me that Mandelson ever ended up in that position. And when people try and say that Candace Owens is in some way a conspiracy theorist or mad for suggesting that a network of paedophiles is running the world, then how on earth do you explain Mandelson's elevation to one of the most important positions for United Kingdom in the world? But of course, what happened to Mandelson also raises a lot of questions about Prince Andrew, too. Why was the late Queen's favourite son completely cast out of public life when Mandelson, who was far closer to Epstein than Andrew ever was, saw his career elevated? Rafe Hadelman-Koo with me now. Rafe, let's look at the politics of this first. Starmer cannot survive this, can he? He's lost as Deputy Prime Minister. He's now lost as US Ambassador. But the point is, this was not some secret that emerged, Rafe. He went in with his eyes wide open. The security concerns about Mandelson were always well known. The close friendship with Epstein was always well known. And even yesterday, Rafe, he stood up at PMQs and insisted that Mandelson had his full support. So as far as I'm concerned, not only is Starmer morally bankrupt, he's now politically toast. This is the end. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address and sign up today.
And it's not only people like us who are saying this, it's members of the Labour Party, it's people sitting on the green benches behind Keir Starmer who are saying much the same thing. How Starmer could not see this Mandelson disaster coming shows you that the man has zero political instinct whatsoever. You know, there are only two cast iron rules in British politics. One is that when a Prime Minister loses an election, he has to move out of number 10 Downing Street. The second rule is that when Lord Mandelson accepts a government job, he's going to resign in disgrace within a few months. Those are the two rules. And this is the third time that he's resigned in disgrace. And that Starmer wasn't able to predict that this was inevitably going to happen, especially given his knowledge of Mandelson's friendship with Epstein, just goes to show you how ill-suited he is for that role. And, you know, I'm just amazed that Starmer continues to be so arrogant. How can you be arrogant when you have nothing to be arrogant about? You're so naive. And this entire party of his stinks because just 18 months ago, these people thought they were, you know, the bright heralds of a new dawn. You had leading British commentators like Andrew Marr and others saying, well, the serious people are coming in. They are, you know, they are not corrupt or anything else. Well, I'm sorry. They're now spending their time defending Starmer over accepting gifts from Lord Ali for himself and his wife, spending time discussing Angela Rayner's multiple house purchases, and now defending the Dark Prince himself, Lord Mandelson, over his friendship with a paedophile. utterly corrupt. Everything that they accuse Boris Johnson and the Tories of, they are doing themselves.
Mm.
It's the Uniparty scandals. They're one and the same, whether Labour or Tory. The man has to go. The question is when. I forecast a while back that he wouldn't lead the government into the next general election. The question is whether he'll still be here by Christmas.
Big time. Now, the problem is, though, Rafe, I actually think there's a much bigger story here. And it is about the acceptability of paedophiles and of totally sexually bankrupt behavior amongst our elites. And this is what we're learning about the Macrons, and whether you believe that Brigitte is a man or a woman, it's not really the point. That was a paedophilic relationship, which is now at the heart of French politics. And the fact that Mandelson is so readily accepted back in, does it not say something about the moral standards of the people who not just run our country, but run the world? Because this is the globalist elite.
Well, there are two branches to say that. Yes, that certainly seems as if there is a double standard and a two-tier system that applies to our elite class and their activities. But as I would say, personally speaking, I would say with Mandelson, it's something very different here. First and foremost, because Mandelson is gay. He's a homosexual, and I've not heard of any stories about Epstein procuring young boys or procuring young men below the age of minority on his islands or whatever. So I think perhaps that's one of the reasons why there's not necessarily the whiff of sexual scandal around Mandelson, whereas we know this was a man who loved being around the rich and famous. That was his Achilles heel. He wanted a lifestyle he couldn't afford. And if you look at that photograph of him with Epstein on that island, where Epstein is wearing a shirt and trousers, Mandelson is in a white robe. He's clearly been for some spa treatment or out of the pool. And he's got this adoring look, almost like Epstein's lapdog.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a man who claims to be such an important figure in British politics, but he simply found the aphrodisiac of wealth and power so much that he was willing to put aside all common sense and all good ideas about what he should be doing in life.
Well, the emails, the leaked emails, Rafe, are truly reprehensible, truly morally reprehensible. Peter Mandelson, who, by the way, has been at the heart of every Labour government of the modern age, which, again, should tell you something about Labour, was quite literally advocating for Jeffrey Epstein to use his conviction for child trafficking, for paedophilia, as a way to relaunch himself. It's truly sick. And I just want to show you how he reacted, Rafe, when Harry Cole of The Sun asked him whether the Epstein files should be released. Watch this. But first, did you know that low libido is often a sign that your body is out of balance, and poor sleep and chronic stress are two of the biggest culprits? When you're underslept, your levels of testosterone, estrogen, and dopamine all drop, crushing your mood, energy, and sex drive. Add elevated cortisol to the mix, the stress hormone that spikes when you're burned out, and your body goes into survival mode. It shuts down everything non-essential, including desire. Your body isn't broken, it's just exhausted. That's why I use Evening Bean by Verso. It's made with clinically studied ingredients shown to reduce stress and anxiety, lower cortisol, and calm the nervous system. It also supports your body's natural ability to regulate hormones, improve mood, and even boost libido. Because when you sleep better, your whole body functions better, including the systems that support connection and intimacy. After taking Evening Bean, I see myself being able to fall asleep faster and stay asleep all night. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I can fall back to sleep. So click the link in the show description or head on over to evening.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. Try Evening Bean tonight. Wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. That's evening.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code outspoken at checkout and you will save 15%. But now, back to the show.
President Trump seems reluctant to clear the decks on this one. Would you be in a personal capacity, be supportive of the Epstein files so-called Epstein files
That's
being
not
released.
a matter for me. That's
And
a matter.
a personal matter
that
as
is-
someone who's potentially named in them, would you have any problem with them being published?
I don't believe I'm named in Epstein files. I have no doubt at all that there's a lot of traffic, correspondence,
Emails,
exchanges
letters.
between us. Absolutely. And we know those are going to surface. We know they're going to come out. We know they're going to be very embarrassing. And they know that I'm going profoundly to regret ever having met him and been introduced to him in the first place. But I can't rewrite history. What I can do is express my profound sympathy for those who were badly treated by him. And secondly, I can accept that I continued my association with him for too long.
Have you discussed this, with the Prime Minister, and do you retain his full support on this matter? And have you discussed it with the President?
I haven't discussed it with either the President or the Prime Minister, and I hope that I'm doing a good enough job as ambassador here in the United States.
I mean, doesn't that say it all? That he hadn't actually even discussed it with Slippery Starmer.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, there you've got the master of the dark arts, a man famed for his ability to slither and slide out of any situation. But even here, the game is up, and even he couldn't cover up what we all see. And it's the moral bankruptcy of the man, and it's the ineptitude of his leader, Keir Starmer. This is the thing. This is a man who continued to befriend someone after he knew that he was a paedophile and a child prostitution procurer, and continue that relationship all for the sake of having fancy holidays, having access to powerful people. And that's the moral bankruptcy that's at the heart of the globalist elite network. They don't care what you've done, so long as you are in a position of power to help and influence them.
Rafe, can you feel that this is a little bit unfair on Prince Andrew? I mean, he lost everything, and really his relationship with Epstein was nowhere near as close as that of Mandelson, who found himself promoted.
I'm not as forgiving as perhaps you are. Yes, certainly you could say that Mandelson had a stronger relationship. However, of course, as I said, there was no hint of sexual impropriety on behalf of Mandelson. Prince Andrew is still innocent under the eyes of the law. He has not been tried or found guilty of anything, but unfortunately, he's been tried in the eyes of the public court. And for better or worse, the monarchy lives or dies by public opinion. And I'm afraid his lack of judgment, similar to that of Mandelson, knowingly continuing to befriend and even in fact stay at the residence of somebody who was convicted for those insidious and evil crimes, does call into question his judgment, just as he was willing to lay down his life for Queen and country during the Falklands War. I'm afraid the fallout of the Epstein scandal gave him a similar challenge to go out into the wilderness and to sacrifice his public life for the sake of the monarchy. And I think he's done that nobly, but I think that's where he has to remain.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I'm not defending what Prince Andrew did. My view on the whole Epstein saga, though, is that Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew have been the very easy people to blame in all of this, right? Like, let's not look at Bill Clinton. Let's not look at Bill Gates. Let's go for the two Brits. Let's go for the two Brits with connections to the royal family, because we know that's where the tabloid interest is going to be. And they are the only people who truly have been punished for what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. And I do think there's more to emerge on this. And certainly what I do think we can all agree on is that Starmer's judgment absolutely proves that he is no longer fit to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And as Rafe Hadel-Mancoux says, it may take weeks, it may even take months, but this is now a morally bankrupt, lame duck Prime Minister.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.